and welcome to another Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele, and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. So, today we will do a quick 2 weeks in Bryan, and then tonight's episode is actually kind of quick, because it is Thanksgiving. For my international viewers, that's the day that we are thankful that our original colonists left. I'm not 100% sure exactly what this holiday, where this holiday originated from. I know that it was tied to a bunch of kind of sketchy stuff that happened in our country's past, and it has since morphed into a way to get families together to kind of spend a little time before the holiday season kicks off, or at least in my neck of the woods, before winter really sets in and it becomes harder to travel, that sort of thing. So it becomes sort of like the last family get together before Christmas, that sort of thing. We'll get into that in a minute, though. 2 weeks in Bryan. On a personal level, things are fine. Doing the gym 4 times a week now. I'm getting my headspace ready. That I'm probably going to need to do some supplemental food stuff. Like cut some things out of my diet and things if I'm actually going to want to see some progress. And that might be a thing that has to happen after Christmas, where I start really thinking about what I'm cooking and how much and so forth and so on. But we'll see. I feel good. My hip / sciatica / lower back still gives me trouble every morning, but it does seem to be going away quickly. I'm working out of it very fast, and doesn't seem to be bothering me during the day as much. Like, even if I'm sedentary for a couple hours, it doesn't freeze up on me. So hopefully that's a good sign that we're on our way toward being on the mend. Hobby wise, I did finish all of my stuff that I needed for PAX Unplugged, so all my demo stuff, and now I've got a handful of models over there. And then recently was reminded that I told my niece that I would paint her group's D&D figures, her characters, for their D&D group, and I completely spaced it. So I think that's going to be my next thing that I do real quick, because it's just 5 characters, and they're all pretty distinct, and I don't want to be like they're easy, but they're a little easier to do than, say, 10 Martian Banshees or a specific set of battle mechs or something like that. So I'm excited to get those done, because then I also have to I've got about 3 months to do my charity piece for GaryCon, and I really want to get that done this year. I think that it would just be feather in the cap to have that get auctioned off. Yeah, so that's it for hobbying. Gaming, I have done very little. Done some playtests. I'm starting to do a little bit more Xenogenesis stuff again. Secrets. And obviously Warzone. We had we're about ready to have a big playtest update. And I needed to get a couple of Smash games in to make sure that stuff was ready, which I feel that it is. Yeah, so not a whole lot of other gaming going on. I mean, we're getting into the holiday season, so it is unlikely that we'll be doing a lot of gaming. I mean, I'll get some video games in and I'll play, playtest stuff. But as far as games, not so late, not so much. I got to do some demos at PAX Unplugged, so that was fun. Demos are always an interesting bag, because sometimes you get somebody that is honestly interested, and other times you get somebody at the table who just said yes because they were walking past and they wanted something to do. Talk to some very cool people through demoing and things at PAX Unplugged, which, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and start talking about that because that's work related. Okay, so Intergalactic Heroes, ongoing, doing well, starting to flesh out some of the universe more. Planning on doing a cool adventure for Free RPG Day for Evil Genius. Let's see what else. Working on the Shadowrun book. Got some stuff from Infinite Stories done this week. Which is cool because I always love getting to work within that world and within that software. Like it's just a collectively neat thing that they've got going on. I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but I put a pitch in for an adventure to be part of a organized play that is put on by a company that I have worked for before, and I'm excited to. That's going to be a lot of fun because they're not super long adventures, but we get to pack a bunch of really cool stuff in it. And I got to pick the magic item that the players who play and adventure and get through that adventure. I got to pick a magic item that they. That the players get to get, and I picked a magic item that I have a scene in my head that will be if they get the magic item, or if they realize that they have access to the magic item, that there will be a scene that will be tremendously easier to figure out if they use it. So that's that. I love doing that. Those little types of things in there, not that it's gonna use up or make them lose the magic item, but if someone thinks outside the box and goes, oh, we could do it this way, that sort of thing. And then obviously I was talking about Warzone ongoing. Got to do a bunch of cool stuff at PAX. As a show, PAX is strange. I really don't agree with their event system or lack thereof, because it makes it very hard on us as exhibitors and industry people to try and plan things. But also, it is not, with the exception of some pop culture references like MCU and Star Wars and Fallout and things, it's not a very successful miniatures game show. It's more about the pop culture. It's more about having this big license that you can kind of levy against what the PAX populace will realize. Well, they'll go, oh man, Halo, that's a fun game. For a game like ours, it was a lot harder because a lot of people didn't know what it was, and in a sea of pop culture references, being the obscure, even if your license is 30 years old, it being not mainstream, super popular, is detrimental. It's hard to grab people unless they are miniatures gamers. And again, we did fine. Sales were fine, but I know they could have been better, and I know that we could have had a better presence there if we would have known enough in advance to do the right kind of marketing and things. But hindsight is what it is, and like I said, we did okay. Sales were fine. I just was really hoping that they would kind of blow the doors off, and sadly they were just fine, not super fine. But altogether, we had a lot of good conversations. Had a couple of really good meetings with the owner of Transatlantic Games, Bob Watts. Kind of doing some good road mapping and figuring out just what we're going to do in the next couple of months with Warzone Eternal to really kind of put it on the map. So I'm very I feel very positive about the roadmap. But that does not change the fact that if you are a Warzone Eternal player or a store or your local store or whatever, please get your orders in because we want to see those numbers rise. We want to see people playing, see people enjoying themselves, and getting into the growth of the game, because as the game grows, gives us more leverage to make it grow in new and different ways. So if you are a Warzone player, please, stay involved, raise your community, and help us, sell a bunch of models. All things considered. PAX was also weird because it's very rare that I do a show that I don't do at least some kind of panel or a seminar or a live play. I was at the booth the whole time, and then we did just dinners and business meetings and stuff afterwards. It's a good kind of weird because it meant that I wasn't super exhausted all the time. I wasn't rushing to get to an event or a stage or something like that. But I will say that it is something that I wish I could do more of. And to that note, there's a very good chance here in a couple of months I might be joining an online live play of something. More on that if it comes together. I think right now I'm on the if someone else cancels position. I'm basically in the on deck circle. I'm an understudy or something along those lines. But either way, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, no big deal. Extra time for me to get work done, and I always have a lot of that. So let's go ahead and say that that's the 2 weeks in Bryan. I know that I kind of whirlwinded it, but honestly, more than half of it was spent at PAX, and the rest of it was spent, working, and I just covered all of that. I've got some cool things that I want to talk about for work, but until I can, I can just say that I've been very busy. I'm very fortunate, and a couple of projects have come together in unexpected ways, expectedly unexpected. And so one of those particular gigs, I'm waiting to hear back from the parent company to find out just the breadth, the full breadth of the project, because I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but there are some I don't want to call them hiccups or obstacles, because that's not right. The forks in the road. I can do it this way or I can do it this way. Which is the way that you want me to do it? That sort of thing. So I'm hoping to hear back from that soon, so I can continue working on that. I think that's pretty much the 2 weeks in Bryan. So let's talk about today. Let's talk about Nerdsgiving. So, obviously, I mentioned earlier that Thanksgiving is kind of a weird holiday, and it is an American holiday, but I know that there are still other places in the world that celebrate similar ways, where they get everybody together around the table, eat good food, say what you're thankful for, talk about good things, maybe pass presents around, whatever the case may be. I'm kind of co-opting all of those things, and instead of doing an American Thanksgiving today, we are going to talk about Nerdsgiving. Dun, dun, dun. I've done Nerdsgiving episodes before, and I normally like to just sort of take a minute, take a beat, and explain what I'm thankful for in this past year. From an industry side of things, and there's a couple of things. There's a lot. I think this year has been very good for me on a professional level. Apart from getting to work with some very cool companies, some of which I can't even talk about yet. I have gotten to be in in the room with Hollywood producers, with licensors that have products that are, generally speaking, not something that I, in my past, have ever had a chance to interact with. I got to see a movie a full like 3 months before it even got into streaming or theaters, because one of the companies I was working for was talking about possibly making a game out of it. So we got to have a private screening, and it was awesome. That was great. It was a cool, a fun thing that I have not done before, to my knowledge, maybe, but definitely not in this capacity. I am unbelievably fortunate in the fact that my friends and family, for the most part, are all pretty healthy. Other than things that are, Natalie's condition isn't going to get better. So long as it hasn't gotten worse, I consider that a tick in the positives column. We are to the point with our disability hearing for her, the disability lawsuit and everything, where everything looks good. We have a generally a positive outcome. We just got to wait for everything to settle and kick in, which will be huge for us and for me, particularly because it means that I might actually be able to say no to a gig now and again, instead of being like, yeah, cool, I can do it. Yeah, cool, I can do it. Yeah, cool, I can do it. And then realizing, oh wait, there's only so many days in the hours in the day, and there's so many days in the month, and then get overtaxed and fall apart. I am extremely thankful for my playtesters. And I say that in multiple facets. My playtesters for Xeogenesis, my playtesters for role-playing game products. I absolutely almost just... That would have been an app. I would have had to have edited that out and put it in the beeping blooper reel, because I almost just told all of you... Sorry, my eyeball itches something fierce right now. I almost just told all of you one of the super secret projects that I'm on. Oh boy. But yeah, I am very fortunate that we have good playtesters across the board. My role-playing game playtesters, a lot of them are people who I have played games with just as a gamer, like on a public, like a public situation, like it has nothing to do with playtesting or anything. So I really trust them, and I also have, over the years, I've learned, not to be like I've learned their style, but I've learned some of the things that I know that I can count on from certain gamers in my group, and it lets me, I don't really like it lets me cherry pick them, but it lets me decide who is the best role players for a particular project, for the things that I want to see play tested. And so I'm very happy and very excited to see to have that group that I can call upon. And my playtesters for Warzone Eternal, the collective, I don't think I could ask for a better group. We've got playtesters in Europe, we've got playtesters in Australia, we got playtesters in Canada and North America, or well, I guess, and America. And it is amazing seeing them take the stats, take the units that haven't been released yet, and then some of the faction assets and terrain rules and things that nobody has seen before, and really put it through its paces. And a bunch of good conversation comes out of it. It's really kind of neat. I also like that they feel open enough that they can have those conversations. And the few playtesters that I know send me private results because they don't want to have open conversation potentially steer or influence their findings. I love that they feel comfortable doing that too. It's just one of the things that I think that games in general, and you know what, maybe here in the next couple weeks I'll do a discussion about playtesting in one of these episodes. But the amount of playtesting that gets done for a war game it needs to be dramatically more than the playtesting that gets done for a role-playing game. It isn't to say that a role-playing game can't require a lot of testing, but one of the big things, once you figure out the system, like the dice or the mechanics or whatever, as long as they function, a lot of the rest of a role-playing game is up to the table, and it's up to the game master to make that work or flow or whatnot. The mechanics themselves are relatively easy to calculate whether or not they're going to function. But with a war game, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of individual stats. There's costs. There's how do they work with the rest of the faction? Do they work with the rest of the faction? Are they designed to be completely and utterly obtuse and weird and kind of start a new design function in that faction? I am, to get back to being thankful, not turn this into a playtest discussion. I am really thankful for the fact that my playtesters are present, that they have good conversation, that they actually play their games, and it's not all just staring at a page going, this is what I think, and that Warzone gets, every one of those units gets the playtest time it needs and it deserves. And that, more than anything, I think that's what I'm thankful for, is not the kind of like crush of like a scheduling deadline crush that says, all right, cool, you've got 6 minutes, you've got 6 weeks, you got to play 30 games right now, go. Or worse, well, we don't have time to really play test everything, so get a couple games in, and it'll give you a good idea, and then we can move on. I'm very glad that we don't do that, and that, more importantly, that the end result tends to be very smooth transition from playtest to reality. And a lot of that has to do with my playtesters. So I'm very thankful for them as well. And on a nerdy level, I'm extremely thankful that this year I have gotten to work with and be close to Luke Gygax, Casey Rift, obviously all my family at Linvander for Thundercats, Animaria, and Evil Dead 2. The folks over at Evil Genius have been, they have been a second family to me for a long time. Even when I reduced my hours over there and kind of took a step back from the production role so I could focus just on Intergalactic Heroes and some of my outside projects, they didn't treat me any differently. I know I've been in a lot of companies where, or been attached to a lot of companies that when someone makes lessens their role or takes a demotion, or a project ends and they're just kind of lingering on, where they get kind of not ostracized, but they stop being in the loop. They stop having, you show up to a meeting and be like, oh, so what's going on? I haven't heard about this. Where you get kind of set off to the side in multiple ways, not just in the time that you're involved in. And Dave and Eric and Paul and Goob over at Evil Genius absolutely did not do that to me. And in fact, I still have weekly meetings with them. We're still working on Intergalactic Heroes super hard. And while I cannot wait for that book to materialize and become real, like, I mean, it's super real right now, but like, there's that little extra step of goes from real and a real manuscript and a bunch of concept art to like, here's a book, here's a final product. And I could not be happier with the people who I'm working with over there to make that happen. Paul and Eric are my partners in crime on the Intergalactic Heroes front, and Eric has a stellar way of taking, I'll throw 3 sentences of kind of background lore into something, and he'll turn it into a page of like legitimate text, and like full on like encyclopedic referencing, and it's cool. Now there's times where I've had to step in and go, hey, that's not quite right to the vision. And again, he's also really cool about not being like ironclad. Nope, I wrote it, so it's got to stay that way. You know, I'm very thankful for his work ethic and his ability to work with me on things, especially since this is kind of my baby. You know, the Interactive Hero stuff is kind of like the culmination of all of my Evil Genius work. And Paul's just amazing. I am thankful for Paul in a million ways. He helps keep my sanity over there when I'm dealing with stuff. He also helps just keep the wheels on the wagon. So when the art notes come in, or when the artist sends a thing of concept art, I'm going to say 95% of the time, I can trust what Paul says to match either something I've said in the past, match kind of my notes, or go in a direction that maybe I never even knew, but I absolutely like. Just that project over there is fantastic, and I'm thankful for Dave for not letting my altered employment over there get him down, or turn that relationship into anything but a positive experience of let's focus on getting this cool thing out. Yeah, super happy there. And you know, I could say I'm super thankful for my family and whatnot, but we're trying to focus on industry stuff. I am, and you know what? I can say that I'm Nerdsgiving thankful for my son is running his own D&D game for his girlfriend and their friends. For a while there, I know he was running an online D&D game for his friends at school. Natalie's running her D&D game. It's, you know, because it deals with adults, it's sporadic, but she's knocking it out of the park. So I'm thankful to be surrounded by a lot of really cool, inspired people. My friends in Indianapolis run amazing games with huge, elaborate terrain, terrain tables, and we all paint our minis. And I know that there are people out there in this industry, gamers. You know, there's a lot of folks out there that do not have the kind of amazing infrastructure and extraneous, like all the spokes on my wheel. I've got a lot of really, really cool people that support gaming, that understand it, that like to talk about it, that game themselves. And I am absolutely, I know that I would not be where I am today and who I am today if it wasn't for all of those amazing supporting people. And those just really cool gamers that have been part of my life in and out for the last 40 years. Yeah. I know that there are things or aspects that I wish I could get done faster or more often. And I know that there have been people that I have let down from time to time, but I try to keep that to an absolute minimum. But professionally speaking, I know that I surround myself with a lot of really, really cool and very, very good people. And that is, I think more than anything, from a nerd point of view, I think that's what I am the most thankful for, is the support structure and just the network, the web of awesome people that have worked with me, worked for me, people who I have helped find jobs, colleagues, friends, family, brothers from another mother and sisters from another mister. It's a. I am often reminded just how lucky I am with not just the career and all of that, but like every once in a while somebody will post something on Facebook or I'll see something on Instagram about this random person. Man, they did this horrible thing, or oh, they just, I'll get an email where it's like, try not to work with this guy because of X. And I know that I am very fortunate that I have not really had to write those emails. I think I could count the number of times in my entire career on one hand the number of people I've ever said I don't want to work. I won't work with that person again. And I know that there's a lot of folks out there that don't have that experience, that don't have, that they have had a lot of burnt bridges. They have had a lot of bad actors in their life. They've had some run-ins with people that use them. And I am very thankful on an industry level that really has not been the case for me. Hopefully, people who have worked with me feel the same way. I can never be so sure. But yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest part of all of this, is that just very, very happy to be where I'm at and where I'm going, and look forward to tell everybody about the next stages when I can, when we move into the next part of all this. All right, so until next week, happy Nerdsgiving, and I can't wait to tell you some more stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to discuss things a little further. Please be safe, get your shots, wear a mask if you have to, wash your hands, don't lick doorknobs, just try not to be a jerk, and try and make every room a little happier than when you got there, and I think you'll be okay. So until next week, be safe, have fun, play some games, guys. See you later.